Namaste Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhupyaiva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopaish Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gau Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from 4th canto, chapter number 9, text number 27 onwards. And the Lord has, Prishni Garbha has appeared to Dhruva Maharaj. He has blessed Dhruva. He has fulfilled his desires. What he wanted to have a planet, a kingdom greater than his great-grandfather, Brahma. Vishnu said, it's very difficult, but I'll fulfill your desire. And we were talking about how the Dhruva planet is Vaikuntha within this material creation. It doesn't get annihilated at the end of the Kalpa or millennium or day of Brahma. And it is so special, no Devatas are allowed entry there. They need a visa. Visa process is not defined here nonetheless, but Brahmaji is not given entry into it. And Lord, along with that, giving him a blessing of a long life. You're going to live for 36,000 years, rule the planet Earth. Your memory, intelligence, senses will not fade a bit. You'll not become old, and you will always remember me. The question comes, okay, so first of all, TK, Lord wanted him to suffer so long, then why did he still continue in this world? He could have taken him back to Vaikuntha and given him a kingdom there. So, for that reason, now Dhruva Maharaj regrets, oh, what a fool I am. I approached the Lord, but I asked him for these petty desires, and now because of which I have to continue to be part of this world, although not exactly living in a Vaikuntha. So we're discussing some important points here, particularly when we are chanting, what thoughts, what desires are we harboring, paying attention to. Krishna is listening, and we don't know which desire he may fulfill. So we've got to be very careful. And the worst in that is of revenge. Why revenge? Just like Dhruva Maharaj was blessed, similarly the offenders to Dhruva Maharaj were punished by the Lord. Lord said, Suruchi, she would die a miserable death in a feeling of separation, burnt alive in the forest fire, when her son Uttama would be killed by Yakshas. So Prabhupada Uttama also had an envy towards Dhruva. However, it's interesting how Uttanapad escaped the wrath of the Lord. Uttanapad also had a role to play, but nonetheless Uttanapad got punished. Suruchi got punished, Uttama got punished. We're talking about it, that how as a devotees we have to be careful. Imagine if devotees start having a revengeful attitude and ill feelings towards each other. Generally with whom we stay, we fight. We don't fight with others. With whom we are staying, we fight, we have ill feelings. After a while, there won't be anyone in the center, in the temple. The Lord started paying attention to everyone's desire. Lord say, okay, you fall down. And Lord will look at him, okay, you wanted him to fall down, you also fall down. And everyone will fall down. So it's very ridiculous. It's pathetic at the side of a devotee to have that. Have a huge ego, can't get little corrected, can't have you allow your peer to give you some comments and whatnot. So those who have this such big bloated ego, anyways, if not others, Krishna will puncture it sooner or later. So this story is very important. And such devotees really, we have discussed this in the past. If we have a grudge feeling, you'll see that time and again it reverberates in the conversation. And you wonder suddenly, why are you picking up on that person again? Why don't you let that go? So you got to be careful. Now, if in case you feel you are struggling with it, Prabhuji, what do I do? Okay, that's a good situation where you realize you are at mistake of having such ill feelings or keeping ill feelings towards others. Now, what do I do? Okay, if you're not able to handle it, go to the Lord and pray to the Lord. What do you pray to the Lord then? If you cannot pray to the Lord to overcome your lower tendencies, what are you doing? What are you praying to the Lordship then? If you're not even conscious about these things. So anyways, this is a very important section. Now let's move forward. Now the Dhruva Maharaj would express his regret. Oh, what did I ask from the Lord? So that was the text number 27, probably what we read. Sopi sankalpajam Vishnu pada sevopasaditam prapya sankalpa nirvanam nati prito abhyagat puram. Despite having achieved the desired result of his determination by worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord, Dhruva Maharaj was not very pleased, thus he returned to his home. Prabhupada writes the purport. It was somewhat a childish determination because Dhruva was nothing but a small child. Lord Vishnu is so kind and merciful that he fulfilled Dhruva's desire because he wanted a residence than ever occupied by anyone else in the family. Still, when Dhruva Maharaj returned home, he was not very much pleased. For although in pure devotion service there is no demand from the Lord, because of his childish nature, he demanded something. Again, maintaining grudges, ill feeling towards others, there's nothing but childish, there's nothing mature about it. There's just childish, foolish tendencies, the childish nature. For although in pure devotion there is no demand from the Lord because of childish nature, he had demanded something. This, although the Lord also fulfilled his desire, he was not very pleased. Rather, he was ashamed that he demanded something from the Lord, for he should not have done this. Why ashamed? Because rather than having a request for how can I serve you, he had a request from the Lord to serve him. Therefore, he was ashamed. Again, it's but very natural, even at the very basic human level. Let's see, you have been away, one of you, after finishing engineering, you go for higher studies to America or Europe somewhere, you do your master's, you do your PhD, 6 years have passed, you have not returned home, and then you get a job, and you're working well. After good 10 long years, now your parents come. Now they visit you. Now when they visit you, you have been all settled and everything. Now what should be the question that you should be asking? पापा आप आ रहे हो दिल्ली से, पापा आप आ रहे हो तो मेरे लिए उस मिट्ठू लाल मिठाई वाले का गुलाब जामुन लेकर आना, मेरे उस शॉप से कपड़े लेकर आना, मेरे लिए वो लेकर आना. Now or should you have a question? Father, it's my time to serve you now. Please come and stay with me and allow me to serve you. What do you think? What would be more pleasing? If you are in the position of a father, what do you think would be more pleasing? All your financials are taken care, you are funded and everything. Now even after all this thing, you still keep asking. So why this is not accepted? Because Krishna is always providing us for everything. Our ability to breathe, our ability to eat and digest, our ability to just simply live in this world is all is provided, is all resources and gifts of the Lord. And not recognizing, not being grateful for it, keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. If you're not grateful, then you are a great fool. That's what we all are. So we need to be, and if in case you don't have that grateful nature by default because of your upbringing and whatnot, as such individuals, you have no other alternative but than to maintain a gratitude journal. Don't think like that someday will change for me. Unless you put an effort, nothing changes. For all those individuals who struggle with expressing gratitude, all those individuals who struggle even to have a gratitude, who can't even think, who are just caught up into their own shell and they keep looking at the world and others from their perspective and not acknowledging and recognizing what others are doing for them, you're in a very pitiable condition. Trust me, such a fellow can never be happy. Can never be happy. Neither he or she will be happy, nor people around him will ever be happy, because he'll always keep sucking. So therefore, for such individuals, such all of us conditioned living entities, it's good we maintain a gratitude journal. At the end of the day, reflect who all helped me today. And isn't that the Vedic phenomenon? We are rini. We are in debt to our mother, to our father, to our relatives, to other living beings, to the sages, to the rishis, to the devtas, isn't it? The whole culture is of gratitude. So there's no meaning of we chanting Hare Krishna, we reading scriptures, we're doing devotional practice if we are not cultivating gratitude. No meaning, no value of it. That's a very basic fundamental thing. Alright, text number 28, Naviduji speaks. Sudullabham yat paramam padam hari maya vinasta charana labdhvapya siddhatam vaika janmana katham samatmanam amanitarthavit. So translation. Srividar inquired, my dear Brahmana, Maitri Muni, the abode of the Lord is very difficult to attain. It can be attained only by pure devotion service, which alone pleases the most affectionate, merciful Lord. Dhruva Maharaj achieved this position even in one life. And he was very wise and conscientious. Why then he was not very pleased? Why then he was not very pleased? 1 second, please. Yeah, let me just mute this guy. So, we were speaking about gratitude, right? So, let me ask a question to all of you. The connection of gratitude is why Dhruva is feeling ashamed. Because now he is able to recognize, what all Lord does for me and what petty desires I had. And the reason for petty desires is lack of gratitude. I gave an example to you about parent. So how many of you agree with that? If you are in a position of a parent, raise your hands. अरे इतना साल हो गया, बचपन से लेकर बड़ा करा, पढ़ाई भी दी, अभी भी मांगता रहता है. When would you say, can I do something for you? Yes or no? Now similarly think about Srila Prabhupada have given us such a big society to all of us. It's just so amazing how we sometimes train our people. Now what qualification we ever had to really take to devotional life, to understand spiritual life, to understand scriptures. Prabhupada dedicated his life, literally gave his life, sacrificed everything, and so does his disciples did it, and so the followers of that great disciples are doing that. To practice spiritual life, to inspire people to practice spiritual life in this world is so difficult. It's so difficult to practice yourself and then to encourage and inspire others is so difficult. Then to create a facility for you to practice spiritual life, to maintain big temples. Why the temple is open? For whom the temple is open? Temple is open for all of us. Temple is open for the whole congregation. But it's very interesting. People never ask, what can I do? People always say, what can you do for me? It's just so amazing how we can function like this. Or, I don't know, I wonder even if chanting is making even an iota difference in our consciousness. We always keep asking, what you can do, what you can do. Scriptures very clearly says, a disciple in no condition, in any point of time in his life or in any life, can ever repay the debt that he owed to spiritual master. Why? What is that debt? Because he awakened his spiritual knowledge, spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. It is only by his mercy and directions you are able to practice Krishna consciousness. Not only that, now even the facilities provided for all of us, but even that time you are so self-centered, so selfish, so it really doesn't work. And therefore, if you see when Rupa Goswami says pure devotion service, anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavartam, have you ever wondered how would we get over this material desires? We're latching onto it, we're holding on to the material desires. How would material desires go away? We are not focusing on what we have received. When you're demanding, even if you're demanding, what are you demanding? Think about it generally. How many of you are generally demanding for pure devotion service? What are we demanding? We are still demanding roti, kapda, makan. We are still focusing on basic facility. What can I get? What can I get? But we don't want to ask a question, how can I contribute? We are so attached to money. Even after earning, I'm amazed even after earning, Okay, those who are earning, I don't know how many really contribute. And even after earning, for their maintenance, they expect temple to support them. The temple, Prabhu, can this prasadam cost be negotiated? Prabhu, the living cost can be negotiated. I mean, you forgot how this whole temple came up? How many people gave their life? How many people contributed funds for it? If anyone have to live outside in Injawadi, any place for that reason, how expensive would it be? And if you leave in the middle of the month, which owner of yours will return your rent back? I mean, no culture. I don't know what training our fellows are getting and how are we pampering our people, spoiling them. But if you spoil like them, they won't grow. Despite chanting and practicing all this, they were so attached with money for petty things. We don't ask, okay, I've been around for so long, let me do some service. This community have taken care of me. Community have raised me. Okay, I'm going to another place. All right. So let me dedicate my 1 month's salary for a service to them because they took care. Now, imagine if you are a teacher of a student like this. If you are a teacher, you're training somebody in Krishna consciousness like this, and that devotee reciprocate like this, what would we say? How many of your heart will be full of blessing for that person? Raise your hand. Without asking, now he's been trained up properly. Now he's able to value what he has received. And out of his heart full of gratitude, he's not asking, please give me my remaining Lakshmi from the rent, give me this, give me that. He is now even reciprocating. Now what kind of students you want to have? What kind of devotee community you want to create? Who want to treat you like a motel in a hotel? Or I've lived in this particular ashram, I've lived in this particular place, this and that. So it's very cheap, it's disgusting rather. We all need to investigate our consciousness, what's going on, and keep demanding. But when it comes to contributing, we're nowhere to be seen. That's so sad in terms of that. And therefore, look, even Dhruva Maharaj, what is the end result? He went to the Lord with a petty desire. He's regretting. He's ashamed of himself. What did I do? Well, there's a huge difference between Dhruva and us. Dhruva wasn't trained up. He was a 5-year-old boy. All of us sitting here, we have been trained up, we are listening, we are receiving for so long, for so many weeks and years together, but no change. We still ask, what can I get? When will our attachment to money will go? When will we start seeing Lakshmi as a property of the Lord, not ours? And we will start contributing and using the service of the Lord. If you think by saving money you'll become rich, you're the biggest fool. By saving, nobody becomes rich. Whatever karma has set for you, whatever has providence set for you, you will only have that much balance. Extra money, whatever you keep, you're going to end up paying to the lawyer, dealing with your financial or family conflict or medical bill to the hospital. You can't keep even a penny extra. But if you would have used that money in the service of the Lord, you would have got purified of your sinful reactions. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. You would have become purified of the punishment which you deserved, which you would have saved yourself. Now save your money and leave headache for yourself. Despite all this, we are still the same. So therefore, we don't get purified of material desires, and maybe that's the reason, despite our chanting, it doesn't seem to be working so much. So here, Viduji is surprised, why do I sing like that? He has pleased the Lord. So Maitri answers, now Maitri vacha, Matu sapnaya vagmane hidi vidhastu smaran naichan mukti pater muktim tasma tapam upevan. Maitri answered, Thirumal's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved. And thus, when he fixed upon his goal of life, he did not forget his misbehavior. So he had a revengeful, you can't blame him for that. He did not demand actual liberation from this material world, but at the end of his devotion service, when the Lord appeared to him before him, he was simply ashamed of the material demands he had in his mind. Have you wondered, this is a beautiful example of Kulavicha Sridhar. He had nothing with him. But because he had a principle in his life, whatever I would earn, I will use certain amount of it in the service of the Lord. Now, do you think Kulavicha Sridhar was the only banana leaf seller in the Mayapur at that point of time? Why would Lord go to him? Or do you think he was the only one who was chanting? There wouldn't be other people chanting? Why would the Lord go to him and play with him, bargain with him, barter with him, not barter, what is that? Haggle with him, not haggle. Wrangle, I believe is the word. Negotiate with him like that. Why would he do so? I mean, he was so pakka despite his poverty. As Chaitanya Chandra describes, he will use the 50% of it in the worship of Mother Ganges. So, yeah, we are doing something, but Krishna doesn't see what you hold. Krishna sees what you give. So we all need to grow up. We all need to have some practical devotional life, where we actually really putting in something. It really doesn't work. Dhruva was fortunate enough, and he had that ability to perform Sivya Tapa. Lord got pleased just because he was a 5-year-old boy also, no doubt about it, and with strong determination. We know the quality of our determination. At least if not, let's follow our principles that governs different ashrams properly. So Maitreya says, this important verse has been discussed by many stalwart commentators. Why was Dhruva not very pleased after achieving the goal of life he desired? A pure devotee is always free from any kind of material desires. In the material world, beautiful purport, one's material desires are almost demoniac. One thinks of others as one's enemies, one thinks of revenge against one's enemy, one aspires to become the topmost reader, topmost person in the material world, and thus one competes with all others. This has been described in the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter as asuric. A pure devotee has no demand from the Lord. His only concern is to serve the Lord sincerely and seriously, and he is not at all concerned about what will happen in the future. And the Mukunda Mala Sota King Kulashekar, author of the book, states in his prayer, my dear Lord, I do not want any position, sense gratification within this material world. I simply want to engage in your service perpetually. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya and his Shastrakam also praise na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, like this. So, yeah, it's a huge purport. All of you can read for yourself. I'll read the translation again. Maitreya says, why Dhruva was ashamed? Dhruva's heart, which was pierced by the arrows of the harsh words of his stepmother, was greatly aggrieved. And as he fixes upon his goal of life, he did not forget her misbehavior. He did not demand actual liberation, which means his desire or his prayers to the Lord was not for pure devotion. By the end of his devotional service, when the Lord appeared, he was simply ashamed. What did I ask from the Lord? And rather what I could have asked from the Lord. However, Lord is so merciful, Lord still blessed him. Now, why did Lord awarded Dhruva the rule of earth for 36,000 years? Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph of the purport. The Lord fulfilled all Dhruva's desires. His revengeful attitude towards his stepmother and stepbrother was also satisfied. His desire for a more exalted position than that of his great-grandfather was also fulfilled. At the same time, his eternal position, Dhruvaloka, was also fixed. Dhruva's achievement of an eternal planet was not conceived of by him. Krishna thought, what will Dhruva do with an exalted position within this material world? Therefore, he gave Dhruva the opportunity to rule this material world for 36,000 years with unchangeable senses and the chance to perform many great sacrifices, and thus become the most reputed king within this material world. And after finishing with all this material enjoyment, Dhruva would be promoted to the spiritual world, which includes the Dhruva Loka. So that was the reason why Lord fulfilled Dhruva desires. Now text number 30, Dhruva speaks. He says, I easily achieved the most rare shelter at the lotus feet, but I fell down from my position. Why? Because Lord gave him the opportunity to rule for 36,000 years. He could have gone back home, back to Godhead. Now in case of Narada the boy, he didn't have the privilege that Dhruva had. For Narada Muni, the Lord appeared and Lord told him, well, you're not yet ready. In case of Dhruva, that was not the situation. Dhruva was ready, but because Dhruva didn't have the right desire, therefore he had to stay back. Dhruva thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis, Haribas and Ananda, who practiced Ashtanga Yoga and trance, attained the shelter of the Lord's feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months I achieved Yet due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position. Prabhupada writes, Dhruva expected in the middle of the pulpit, therefore, that as soon as he met the Lord would take him to his abode immediately. Dhruva could understand very clearly that the vengeful attitude towards other living entities. How many of you have had an experience, let's say in your current situation today, when you look back in your past, in your devotional career, you remember some desires of the past which now you think was childish, was useless, and you feel regretful. Why did I even think like that? How many of you? Please raise your hand. Can think of it. I'll repeat my question again. How many of you can think of, as part of your devotional career, certain actions that you did, certain desires you harbored, which now when you look back, you find it silly, childish, and you in fact regret, I had a wonderful opportunity to get, maybe to have greater blessings, greater opportunity, but I missed it because I had this petty, selfish desires at that point of time. Can anyone think of it? Any situation like this in a devotional career? Where you now look back and you regret of it, having those desires? Nobody had that experience. How many of you have that experience? Please raise your hand. Uchauta. Blue Ridge. Only pure devotees are sitting there. So nobody had that situation. What about those who are online? So there was a situation. It's not that after becoming a pure devotee only we'll realize. Even at this age of sadhaka, if we look back, we can see that maybe you were supposed to obey, but you disobeyed and brought about crisis. Again, it's because of independent mentality. So when you become mature, when you realize and understand important principle I should follow, and then you look back, wish I would have been following that principle before, things would have been so easy. Or else, when Prabhupada says one of the purpose, discipline, obedience and submissiveness, wish I was disciplined, wish I was obedient or submissive, my state of mind today would have been far better than it is today. How many of you agree? There are so many reasons to look back and regret for that. So just like Dhruva Maharaj is having, is but genuine, even we have it. But the question here that I want to bring, don't remain regretful for always. So what we are deferring today, what we are not practicing today, what we are delaying today, we are sure tomorrow again you'll be regretful of your present if you don't try to fix it. Text number 31. And now he says, oh my dear Lord, I prayed for perishable things. Aho bata, aho, alas. Aho bata mamanatmayam mandabhagyasya pashyata bhavachittapadamoolam gatva yachayad antavad. Alas, just look at me, I'm so unfortunate. I approached the lotus feet of the Lord, who can immediately cut the chain of the repetition of birth and death, but still out of my foolishness, I prayed for things which are perishable. I wanted to rule this world. Prabhupada writes in the puppet, the last paragraph. Dhruva Maharaj was actually initiated by Narad Muni, the greatest Vaishnava. It's interesting, huh? It's not that initiation changes anything. So don't think, Prabhuji, whatever I am, but kal mujhe diksha dila do aap, diksha ka main pura badal jaunga. And he didn't have any ordinary guru, he had Narad Muni. It's not that after getting initiated from Narad Muni, his desires changed. It requires an effort at our end. Prabhupada writes, there was actually initiated by Narad Muni, the greatest Vaishnava, in the chanting of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra is a Vishnu mantra, for by practicing one is elevated to Vishnu Loka. Dhruva regrets that although he was initiated in the Vishnu mantra by a Vaishnava, he still aspired for material benefits. This was another causal limitation. Even I had the best of the teachers, yet I could not make that advancement. Although he got the result of Vishnu mantra by the cause of mercy of the Lord, he lamented how foolish he was to have strived for material benefits while practicing bhakti. In other words, every one of us who is engaged in bhakti and Krishna consciousness should be completely free from all material aspiration, otherwise we'll have to lament like Dhruva Maharaj. One thing that really bites us as we are progressing ahead, and as a brahmacharis, we particularly have to be very alert to this. Some of this idea stems in, I am great. Why? Because I am a brahmachari. And people should respect me. Peers should respect me. Everyone should respect me. We got to be careful of this. This is a weed that will be pampering, watering around like this. And for anyone else in general, and this holds true for congregation also, those who think I've been around, I deserve respect. Well, you can command respect. You can't demand respect. And if you command respect, people will respect you if they find you respect worthy. And if you're not getting respect, then you need to sit back and reflect, where am I wrong? What are my actions? What am I doing because of which people don't value me? Don't complain about others. Don't find faults in others. Seeing that this guy is a rascal, don't become envious of others, seeing that he doesn't respect me. Why don't you ask a question to yourself? Am I worthy of respect? Am I living my life in such a way? Am I behaving in such a way? Have I changed? Am I still acting the way I used to act with them before? And then you still expect, because of position, because of an ashram, I deserve respect. It just doesn't make sense. So it doesn't work like that. Text number 32. So I was talking material aspirations. So we develop this kind of aspirations as we are moving ahead, that I should be respected. Text number 32. Mater vidushita devai padadbher ahas shishnubihi yonarada vachastathyam nagra hisham asattamaha. Says all the devas who are situated in the higher planetary system will have to come down again. They are all envious of my being elevated to Vaikuntha Loka by bhakti. These intolerant devatas have dissipated my intelligence, and only for this reason could I not accept the genuine benedictions of the instructions of sage Narada, like this. So why Dhruva is complaining about devatas? What is that? The 5th canto verse. I'm confusing with the 10th canto verse. One who takes shelter of the Lord, he acquires all the divine qualities. It starts with Yasya. Yasyasta bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarve gunes tatra samasita surhara bhaktasya kuto madgana manoratena siddhavato, something like that. So what was that? Yasyasta bhaktir. I'm confusing with that verse on spoken by Krishna about body. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana. So if you see in that verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes very beautiful. He says the different limbs of the body are the sitting places of devatas. It's the devatas who control our different limbs. So when we read about in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that how the desire gets fulfilled, Paramatma sanction, Prakriti acts, and then Prakriti dictates the body to act. So how does body act? This is through different presiding deities of different limbs. So Dhruva is saying these devatas are envious of me and they kept me confused. Therefore I could not think what is right despite getting the right instruction. So he's bringing about the propositions in the second paragraph. It's a fact, second paragraph, that the devatas control the different activities of the limbs of our bodies. Fact, we are not free even in moving our eyelids. Everything is controlled by them. Narad Muni asked him, why should you bother about insult adoration from your stepmother? He of course said to Dhruva that since Dhruva was a child, what did he have to do with such an insult or adoration? So Dhruva is regretting that he couldn't take Narad's instructions seriously. Text number 33. Now he says, I was overcome by Maya. Dhruva lamented, I was under the influence of the illusory energy, being ignorant of the actual facts. I was sleeping on her lap. Under the vision of duality, I saw my brother as an enemy and falsely lamented within my heart, thinking they are my enemy. So purpose, beautiful purpose. Now, very interesting. Why Dhruva is able to recognize this concept of duality now? Let's a little bit think about it. Dhruva went to the forest because he was seeing some are my friends, some are my enemies. Now is Dhruva is now after having darshan of Vishnu, he changed. Uttama and Suruchi have not changed. So why is he saying that, what did I do? Why was I seeing this duality? Now, if in case we consider somebody else as an enemy, and we say they're envious of us, well, in case of Dhruva, they must be envious of Dhruva even today, na? Dhruva is still in the forest. But now Dhruva is not able to see them as enemies. Why? What changed? Any thoughts here? What changed? Yes, Sanatan Prabhu. And what lesson can you?
Practicing devotional service under bona fide.
Can anyone hear it? Do we have a system? Take care. Bolo, I'll repeat it quickly.
Practicing devotional service under bona fide spiritual authority purifies the desires.
So what happens with purifying desire? What changed?
Self to become selfless. So now focusing what he wanted. Now you understand.
Focusing what you want. Okay, I'll reiterate my question. Why he is able to see beyond duality, and how now he's seeing his enemies as his friends? He says, who's enemy, who's friend? How is he able to see that? What has happened? Anyone? What change have happened? Or what do you learn from this? Yes?
After becoming devotee, his heart is changed. And
After becoming devotee, his heart is changed. So what changed?
Devotee don't think that others see any aparat or like.
No, but to say that devotees don't see others are envious of him, how does it happen? What is exactly happening? Yes.
Change of consciousness.
So what change have happened in the consciousness?
Seeing like Paramatma is sitting everywhere.
Paramatma is sitting so?
So like whatever is happening because of my karma only.
Yeah, now you're coming close to exact thing. Now happening because of karma. What else? Purification of heart have happened. Still generic. So one little closer is karma. I'm receiving my karmic reaction. Tatte nukampam samikshama bunjane vatma kritam vipakam. I'm receiving my karmic reaction. Who's my friend? Who's my enemy? What else? How is he able to see? Shubham Prabhu, yes, go ahead. Okay? I don't know if you can hear me or not. So, what's happening with Dhruva here is, now Dhruva is saying, I was under the influence of illusionary energy, being ignorant of the actual facts. I was sleeping on a lap under a vision of duality. I saw my brother as my enemy, and falsely I lamented within my heart, thinking they are my enemies. So, just like we say, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvishyasti na priya. Lord says, nobody is my friend, or nobody is my enemy. Now anything that is happening in this world, who you call as a friend, who you call as enemy, is all very temporary and changeable. Who you call as a friend today can become an enemy. Who you thought until yesterday was an enemy can become a friend. How many of you had that experience? You had a fight with somebody in school days. By the time you reached college, you became thick of the friends. Raise your hand. And who you thought are your lifelong friends, you don't even talk to them now because you're upset with them. How many of you have this? So who is friend? Who is enemy? So they were saying this is all under the influence of Maya. I was treating like this. So who is seeing friend and enemy? It is I seeing somebody as a friend and enemy. Then why take that temporary thing so serious? Why get caught up with this? How many times I've seen this, even in Brahmachari ashram, you find some brahmacharis hanging around together all the time, literally. And people say, oh, they are the best of the pals and friends. They'll have dinner together, lunch together, they'll go for kirtan together, they'll go morning program together, they'll sit in the Bhagavatam class also together. Itna to pati patni ka bhi sambandh nahi hota. Thick friends like this. Suddenly one day something changes. They will not talk to each other also. So much dramabaji we do here. So much dramabaji we do. Just so amazing, I don't know what we are reading, what we are hearing. So much dramabaji we do now. Is it a drama or not? And can you imagine how much energy we have wasted on this? Defending our friend's mistake and saying, no, he's not at fault. And even if somebody is right, because he's an enemy, will not agree he's right. Yes or no? and we keep doing non-stop prajalpa. So he's always saying this is all. And if you tell that fellow, you're in Maya, Prabhuji, you're offending me. Why you say I'm in Maya? You're in Maya because you're doing this duality. That. So that's the point Prabhupada highlights here. So these are some very important prayers for us to contemplate like this. So now, if this is what it is, so imagine if Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Striya, Vaishya, Shudra. Now if somebody have to read and say Krishna is doing discrimination, does it make sense? When Krishna is talking about, or when the devotee is saying, who is friend and enemy, now friend and enemy is not related to gender. Gender is an even lower discrimination. Now if who is friend and enemy, this is all duality, then if Krishna, this Shastra says about Shudras, Vaishyas, or Striya, they cannot understand certain things. Is it that they are doing some fault finding? Or is it just referring to more deeper meaning? Just to look at it from the point of view of a advanced devotee. So a beautiful purport, you can read it out. All right. Text number 34. I wasted my good opportunity. This is our story. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Lord, but in my case, although I have satisfied the Super Soul of the whole universe, I have prayed only for useless things. My activities were exactly like treatment given to a person who is already dead. Just see how unfortunate I am, for in spite of meeting the Supreme Lord, who can cut one's link with birth and death, I have prayed for the same conditions again. I can say ideally same regretful situation would be for the one who, after having this privilege and a great opportunity to serve the Lord 24/7, have the opportunity for the best association and live a life free from anxiety, fear and stress, that is brahmachari life, but still continues to maintain all kind of material desires and eventually exhausts his bhakti credit and leaves the ashram. Would be a situation of regret or no? Such a privilege, such an opportunity. So as a sadhakas, those of us in brahmachari ashram, please be careful of the trap of puja, labha, pratishtha. Do not get caught in the spirit of competition, comparison. Do not get into this web of glorification and all that. It's very risky. Text number 35. Dhruva says, I am just a fallen beggar. Because of my state of complete foolishness, paucity of pious activities, although the Lord offered me His personal service, I only wanted fame, name and prosperity. My case is just like that of the poor man whom, when he satisfied a great emperor, who wanted to give him anything he might ask, out of ignorance asked only a few broken grains of husked rice. This is what the nature of material aspiration is in comparison to spiritual gifts. So again, those who have come so close to the path of bhakti, those who even have given up all material aspiration, external, gross material aspiration, to really take full shelter of Guru and Gauranga, now after coming to brahmachari ashram, we should be careful not to continue to have those material aspirations of puja, labha, pratishtha. Prabhupada says, what is true independence? In this verse, the word swarajyam, complete independence, is very significant. Conditioned soul does not know what complete independence is. Complete independence means situation in one's own constitutional position. The real independence of a living entity who is part and parcel of the Lord is to remain always dependent on the Lord, just like a child who plays in complete independence, guided by his parents. So we can mark this shloka for Independence Day celebration. Swarajyam yachato modhyan mano me vikshito bataha ishvara shina punyena falikaran ivadana. Text number 36. Now Viduruji glorifies Maitreya Muni glorified Viduruji. The great sage Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, persons like you who are pure devotees of the Lord, of the lotus feet of Mukunda, and who are always attached to the honey of his lotus feet, are always satisfied in serving him at the lotus feet of the Lord. In any condition of life, such persons remain satisfied, thus they never ask the Lord for material prosperity. Why Maitreya is glorifying Vidura? Vidurji ne aisa kya kara hai? The Maitreya is glorifying persons like you, who are pure devotees of the Lord, are always attached to the lotus feet of Mukunda. Any thoughts? What Vidurji would have done? Yes?
He had been on trial when he was rebuked,
He was on trial, he was rebuked. Okay. What else?
accepted, took it as an opportunity.
He took it as an opportunity. Okay. What else? Vidurji, you didn't give a damn about anything. The point is, Vidurji was on a ministerial position. He had all the comforts and convenience of life, and he could have that continued for the rest of his life if he just didn't speak about Dharma. If he had his own private practice. I mean, Duryodhana was not coming and interfering in Vidura's personal practice. He could have chanted 64 rounds. Dhruva wouldn't hardly care about it, as long as Vidurji would not have interfered with Duryodhana's plan. He could have continued, isn't it? However, if Vidura had any amount, if any tinge of material aspiration or desire, he would not have taken a stance as he took in the assembly of Dhritarashtra. Yes or no? Knowing very well Duryodhana is very evil, he could do anything, yet he took that stand. Such a stance, or in other words, the ability to speak the truth can only occur when you really don't have any dependency on others. I've spoken that in the beginning also about attachment and affection. You understand? Attachment was Dhritarashtra towards Duryodhana. Because he was attached, he was emotionally dependent on him. He was dependent on him for his aspirations, fulfillment of aspiration. Therefore, Dhritarashtra could never correct, which means he could never speak the truth. But when it comes to affection, Krishna was affectionate towards Arjuna. He could call him, "What nonsense is you're acting like a eunuch? How does this impurity behoove a person like you?" That was a pretty straightforward and a very strong statement. Krishna can speak to Arjuna because he could speak the truth to Arjuna because he was not dependent or aspiring anything out of it. Similarly, in mentor-mentee relationship, I would request we should take the position of we should take our relationship more on the side of an affection, not of attachment, because if we cannot speak the truth, what's the point? Of course, we have to have time, place, circumstances. Truth should be presented in such a way that is palatable and not that the other person's ego will be so deeply hurt that he leaves bhakti altogether. So we have to be, but we can only be true well-wisher, when we speak the truth. So here Vidurji has been glorified because if he could have, forget about speaking a lie, if he could have remained silent, Bhishma chose to be that. It's not that Duryodhana ever dared to say Bhishma, because there is not even a single statement where Bhishma rebuked or criticized Duryodhana like Vidura did. Yes, there is a statement where Bhishma criticized Karna, before the battlefield. There's no reference of Dronacharya doing that. He was not an ordinary person also. Vidura could have chosen not to take sides. He could have maintained so-called neutrality. He could have continued to live peacefully in this kingdom, be with his wife. I'm not sure if they had kids. There's no mention of kids. With his wife, with his family, could have had peaceful retirement and could have said, well, anyways, Krishna is there. Why should I bother? Krishna will take care, na? If Krishna wants to kill everyone, Krishna will kill. Who can protect? What is my need? Unnecessary disturb others. What is going on? It's not about unnecessary disturb. You want to protect your own interest. You want to protect your own interest. Therefore, you don't want to tell the truth. Therefore, you don't want to correct. And here Maitreya is saying, you are glorified. You are a pure devotee because you did not care for any selfish interest. Otherwise, imagine, yes or no? Vidura could have a very peaceful retirement. Do you think when Vidura was thrown out of the kingdom, he had a chariot or a sarthi? He was walking barefoot across all the dhams. Do you think it was such an easy thing? Today we are rethinking and thinking again and again, should we travel in a sleeper coach from Pune to where? Kashi. Because sleeper coach आजकल बहुत भरा होने लगा है. हमें sleeper coach में लेट के जाने में problem है. So imagine what would be the austerity for Vidurji, isn't it? So think about it deeply. Text number 37. Now Maitreya says, so king heard that Dhruva have returned. When King Uttanapa heard that his Dhruva was coming back home as he come back to life after death, he could not put his faith in his message. Uttanapa actually, he was literally sure that Dhruva would have died. What a 5-year-old boy can do to protect himself, isn't it? When you particularly know that forest is filled with ferocious animals, and it's not, do you think Uttanapad would not have sent his army in search of Dhruva? And probably that was the reason Nagmuni said, go at a distance from here, go to Madhuvan. I'm just connecting the dots, 800 kilometers plus, how much is the distance to Kanpur and Vrindavan? Somebody checked the other day, more than 800 kilometers. I mean, we were discussing that day, why Nagmuni? Probably this is the reason. Because if he was in the forest near to Kanpur or Bittur, the Uttanapad would have sent his army to search, Now send him 800 kilometers away in Madhuvan, sitting somewhere. How far the army will search for? So Uttanapad what would have definitely happened? The army would have gone and searched, come back empty-handed. Now you have not found Dhruva alive, you have not found the dead body. You can imagine what all can happen. If somebody was already in bodily consciousness, he would definitely think that my son would have been killed by now. So Uttanapad cannot believe what? He is alive, he has returned, but he was doubtful for how it could have happened. He considered himself the most wretched, and therefore he thought that it was not possible for him to attain such a good fortune. Text number 38. Although he could not believe the words of the messenger, he had full faith in the word of the great sage Narada. This was greatly overwhelmed by the news, and immediately offered the messenger a highly valuable necklace in great satisfaction. Now it's going to be something interesting. Okay, I had written some points here. I was just reading it. Text number 30 and 40. All right. This is beauty, real gem. You can call it real gold. So all of you know the Dhruva story, what's going on here so far, isn't it? Now, it's almost similar to, okay, it will be too extended otherwise. Let's skip it to Dhruva's story. Now, Dhruva wanted to climb up the lamp of his father. On one lap, Uttama is sitting. Uttanapad is not bothering about him. Uttama is having his own feelings. Suruchi is speaking harsh words, isn't it? Now, Dhruva has come back. So my question to all of you is, how should Suruchi and Uttama react now? Now, Uttama must be 5.5 years old. 6 mahine to beete hai. Not that he's grown by 10 years or something. Now, Suruchi, 6 months only. It's not a lot of things happen. Do you think it's easy to give up our envy towards others in 6 months? Now, the penance was performed by Dhruva, not Suruchi. It's not that Suruchi was also standing on one leg in her palace, purifying herself. Not that she was doing some meditation. It's not mentioned here. So my question to all of you is, what do you expect? Don't say what happened, but what do you expect? How would, for example, if you had been in a situation of Dhruva and you are returning back, now you would be thinking, मेरी सोताली माँ, मेरा सोताला भाई, अब क्या करेगा? Yes or no? You'll be thinking. So what do you think? What you'll be thinking? What do you think? How would your sotala ma, sotala bhai would react to you? I mean, nothing would have changed. In fact, they might become more worried. Jinda aa gaya? Ab bhi bach gaya? This is, if you now go back to Ramayana, when Bharat had come back, and then when Bharat is meeting and Kekai and Bharat and Shatrughan is there, and they're like, what happened? Where is everyone? And then Kekai begins to tell what happened. And then Kekai said, I have sent Ram for 14 years of Vanvas. And Bharat was shocked. Why 14 years? So that point of time, so there were two kind of a punishment, exile which was given. If you are above 50 years, you were given a death sentence. Let me put it this way. So there is somebody who is very important and his crime is not huge. So he cannot be given death sentence, but you want to give him a death sentence. So what was the alternative for that? Send him into forest. So if you are above 50 years, you are sent into forest for 12 years. Which means this is Vedic Praman. This is a verse from Rig Veda which says what to do if you cannot give a death sentence. Now Pandavas have not done any mistake. So they cannot be given death sentence. But Kauravas wanted to give them death sentence. So what is an alternative? Send them 12 plus 1 year. 1 year was an incognito. That was add-on. add-on package, bonus package that they got. But 12 years of the punishment, which means what they literally indicated to Pandavas and to everyone. It's a death sentence, particularly who knew the scripture. Now, in case of Lord Ram, in case of Kaikeyi sent Lord Ram for 14 years. So those who were less than 50 years, Lord Ram was around 24-year-old when he was sent to forest. So those who are 50 years of age, Rigved says, if you want to give them death sentence, the equivalent to death sentence is 14 years of vanvas. So when Bharat heard this, 14 years, he could not tolerate and believe. Why? Because Kaikeyi had literally assured that Ram should not come back. And Ram would not come back. Because I would not tolerate him, because if he comes back after 14 years, then he might demand his kingdom from my son. So like that. Now here, Dhruva is returning. How Suruchi and Uttama is reacting. Let's take a look. Text number 1340. Sadashvam ratamaruya kataswara parikshratam brahmane kula vruddhischa pariyashto matya bandhubi shankadundubi nadena brahma goshena venubhi nishkramam puraturnam atmajabhiksha no sukha. So how many of you agree? Let's go back to the point. You're returning back and you will still have sense of fear and insecurity. I don't know how this my Sautali Ma Sutala Bhai will react to me. And you will still have. Of course, it's a different thing. Dhruva is a pure devotee now. But imagine you are not. We are not. But you just went for 6 months to some office visit and you're returning back. And you know that these people don't like you. So your mind will be so perturbed and disturbed. आने दो मेरे सामने, मैं भी दिखाता हूँ इनको, मैं भी कुछ ऐसा करूँगा, ऐसा करूँगा, ऐसा no. Now, look what interesting happens. Text number 40. King Uttanapad, being very eager to see the face of his lost son, mounted a chariot drawn by excellent horses and bedecked with golden filigree. Taking with him many learned brahmanas, all the adulated personalities of his family, his officers, ministers, his immediate friends, immediately left the city as he proceeded in his parade. There were auspicious sounds, blah, blah, blah. Alright, text number 41. Both the queens of King Uttanapad, namely Suniti and Suruchi, along with his other son Uttama, appeared in the procession. The queens were seated on panel. Hey, why is Suruchi going? Suruchi to jana nahi chahiye tha. Why is she going? So Prabhupada is in the purpose. After the departure of Dhruva from the palace, king was afflicted, but by the kind words of Saint Nada, he was partially satisfied. He could understand the great fortune of his wife Suniti and the great misfortune of Queen Suruchi. For these facts were certainly very open in the palace. But still, when the news reached the palace, Dhruva was running. His mother Suniti, out of a great compassion and to being the mother of great Vaishnava, did not hesitate to take the other wife Suruchi and her son Uttama on the same palanquin. That was the greatness of Queen Suniti, the mother of the great Vaishnava, Dhruva Maharaj. Text number 40-43. Upon seeing Dhruva, now what happens? Approaching the neighboring small forest, King Uttanapad with great haste got down from his chariot. He had been very anxious for a long time to see his son. Therefore, with great love and affection, he went forward to embrace his long-lost boy. Breathing very heavily, the king embraced him with both arms. But Dhruva was not the same as before. He was completely sanctified by spiritual advancement due to having been touched by the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhruva was not returning back to sit on the lap of the father because he didn't need the lap. Already was sitting on the lap of Vishnu now. 44. Reunion with Dhruva fulfilled King Uttanapad's long cherished desire, and for that reason he smelled Dhruva's head again and again and bathed him with torrents of very cold tears. Hiranyakashipu also did it. So maybe fathers only can certify. If this is how the fathers show their affection to kids. Oh, looks like sarson ka tel lagaya sir pe. Then Dhruva, the foremost of all nobles, first of all offered his obeisances at the feet of his father and was honored by his father with various questions. He then bowed his feet at the feet of his two mothers. So what writes in the purport? Dhruva therefore was in this verse has been described as such Janagranhi, the foremost of noble men. The pure devotee is the noblest of all. He has no feelings of animosity towards anyone. Duality due to animosity is a creation of this material world. There is no such thing in the spiritual world which is the absolute reality. Can you imagine if Dhruva, rather than worshipping Vishnu, would have worshipped Brahma, Shiva, was Indra. And got his desire, got his desire of having a kingdom greater than of his father. And now if Dhruva was returning back, can you create a contrast? Dhruva returning after meeting Vishnu and Dhruva returning after getting his desire fulfilled with Devatas. What could have been the contrast? Anyone? Huh? Acha, so he would have been arrogant? Look, what else?
In the case, he also wanted some desire from Lord Brahma, which was fulfilled in that case. But his heart is not being purified in the way which we have changed.
So what would happen with Dhruva? Getting his desire fulfilled from Devatas, returning back. He would have become more envious. Now, I will show them. Who am I? I am the all-powerful. I have been blessed to rule 36,000 years. I'll put Suruchi and Uttama both in the prison. Yes or no? I mean, can you imagine how afflicted, hurt he was because of which he left his mother? He could have taken a strong revenge. And that's what you see in the Devta worshippers, Brahma, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, anyone. And even we all earlier worshipping Devta, no transformation. It's not the Devtas only fulfill desires, even Lord fulfills desires, Akama Sarva Kama Vi, but along with that, the transformation of heart happens. And now, Dhruva is offering respect to his mother. Text number 46. Suruchi, the younger mother of Dhruva, seeing that the innocent boy had fallen at her feet, immediately picked him up, embracing him with her hands. And she put the child on her lap. Beta, तेरे को बाप के पैर पे तो नहीं बैठे थे, मेरी गोदी में आ जा तू. And with tears of feeling, she blessed with the words, "My dear boy, long may you live." So now question is, how Suruchi desired good for Dhruva? 47 was mentioned. Unto one who has transcendental qualities due to friendly behavior, all living entities offer honor. This is such a beautiful verse. Just as water automatically flows down by nature. So, what's happening here? I'll reiterate if you're able to pay attention. So, first thing is, okay, let's go sequentially. First thing is, if Dhruva had worshipped Devatas, nothing would have changed in his heart. Rather, returning back, getting his desire fulfilled, he would have become more arrogant, proud, and revengeful. First thing clear? Anyone has any doubts? Okay, second thing, now Dhruva worshipped Vishnu, his heart have changed. Now, when Dhruva comes back, to his utter surprise, he sees his father running to him, his mother has come, stepmother Suruchi have come, Uttama is running to him. So, first lesson that we learn here is, in devotee community, do not take others' comments so seriously. Learn to give benefit of doubt. Some of us are so immature because somebody said something, we just see that person is like this forever. But it could be conditional also, because that person, under the influence of modes of material nature, he acted like this. Now, it's just like driving a car on a highway. Can you say, if I am driving carefully, I would never have an accident? How many of you disagree with this? Please raise your hand. If I am driving my car carefully, I would never have an accident. How many of you disagree with this? Even if you are driving carefully, you can still have an accident. Why? Because somebody else can come and bang in you. Which means, even if you are maintaining your Krishna consciousness, but living in association with devotees, some may not be able to keep their consciousness to that level. Some may still bang onto you. Don't become so agitated. Give a benefit of doubt if in case you want to still continue being the part of the devotee community. That's the second point. And the third point here, which is so beautiful, which goes directly. Why beautiful? Because it's about us. Where was I? Text number 47. Yasya prasanno bhagavan gunen maitriyadibhi hari tasmai namanti bhutani nimnam ap eva swayam. The wonderful qualities of Vaishnavas have the capacity to even transform the heart of envious person. I was speaking from Mahabharata lately and I was making this point. Although in a conditioned nature, we always want respect from others and give none to others. As Krishna, as Chaitanya Matranadapi Sunichena Taropi Saishnana, with my little experience of life, I can tell you this is so practical advice. We would always be in a safer position if we can give respect to others and not expect from other. Why? Then we'll not have any ill feeling for anyone. If you want to save yourself from grudges, from revengeful attitude, or having your heart pierced with ill feelings from others, if you want to save yourself from others, don't expect, give them respect. If you learn to give respect, even those who are disrespectful towards you will change. And this is what text number 47 says. Unto one who has transcendental qualities due to friendly behavior with the Lord, all living entities offer honor, just as water automatically flows down nature. Prabhupada raises a question, why Suruchi was not at all favorably disposed towards Dhruva? Blessed him. Long you may live. Prabhupada says the answer is given in this verse. Since Dhruva was blessed by the Lord due to his transcendental qualities, everyone was bound to offer him all respects and benediction, just as water by its nature flows down. A devotee of the Lord does not demand respect from anyone, but wherever he goes, he is honored by everyone throughout the whole world with all respect. So, if we cultivate good qualities, others would also change their behavior towards us. And what is that foremost quality that we should cultivate? What is that foremost quality we should cultivate? With that, everyone would appreciate and respect us.
Having relationship with students.
Quality, I'm asking. Is that a quality? What is that one quality? Huh?
Humility.
Yes, humility. Humility. Yes, mother, humility. I mean, is that such a difficult subject, or you are relishing your nap time after a long morning program? या तो मैं English समझ नहीं आ रही. I don't know what's the difficulty. It's such a simple thing. Humility. How many more verses? Because that's 67. I guess I'll have to pause, or maybe I can just read the translation. ठीक है. Text number 48. Brothers hugged. The two brothers Uttama Dhruva also exchanged their tears. They were overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love and affection, and when they embraced one another, the hair on their bodies stood up. Dhruva could have said, "Hey, निकल यहाँ से तू. तेरी वजह से सारा संकट हुआ. तू अगर बैठा ही नहीं होता, मैं भी नहीं आता." He could have done like that. How many of you have that experience in your relationships with somebody you had a conflict and you're like, this devotee like this, yeah, this devotee like this. You keep making ugly face and moving around with your ugly face. करके. But after some time, suddenly certain things changed. And now hand in hand you're moving around with the devotee. And you forgot all nonsense you created because of your own behavior and how much time you ate of your seniors and other devotees, spreading negativity about that fellow. And you're moving around with hand in hand the devotee as if nothing ever happened. मैं तो कुछ कही नहीं. आप लोग ऐसे क्यों देख रहे हो मुझे? How many of you had that experience? Have you, not personally, have you seen that happen? Please raise your hand. And you can just laugh, isn't it? I mean, you see that happen. Hey, कल तक तो तू उसकी गालियाँ दे रहा था. आज उसका हाथ पकड़ के घूम रहा है. So the point here is, this is the truth of life. This is the truth of life. Therefore, do not take temporary inconveniences in relationship so seriously. Don't become so mental. Hey, this is my enemy and this is my friend. It doesn't happen. Things will change. As you grow and allow him to grow, everything else will follow it in this place. Don't become so disturbed by it. If you're so disturbed, then maintain a healthy distance. Don't spread negativity. Text number 49. Suniti, the real mother, now she embraced. Text number 50. We'll pause at this. Dhruva, the great hero. Paisthanabhayam susrava netrajay shalile shivahe tadabhi sichamanabhyam veera virsuvamuhu. My dear Vidura, Suniti was a mother of a great hero. Her tears together with milk flowing from her breast wet the whole body of the Maharaj. This was a great auspicious sign. Prabhupada said this is called as Abhishekam. Prabhupada is at the end of the pulpit. A devotee is also a great hero because he conquers the influence of Maya. So how many of you would like to become a great hero? Raise your hand. अबे तुम लोग को अंग्रेजी समझ नहीं आ रही क्या है? आंखें खोल के सो रहे हो? ऐसे देख रहे हो? तुम्हारा चल क्या रहा है? मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. Our IT fellows are great yogis. Yogi goes in samadhi with eyes closed. Our IT yogis go in samadhi with eyes open. And speaker अपनी धुन में लगा हुआ है, लग रहा है उसको audience सुन रहा है. So how many of you want to become a great hero? Okay, you want to become a great hero. But what do you have to do to become a great hero? Write down the homework. I would like to see your answer. Read the last few verses that we have read, and from that draw a practical application for yourself. What it means. My mission statement for 2025: becoming a great hero. Inspired by the story of Dhruva Maharaj. And those of you think you're already a hero, anyways you're not gonna write anything. Because रिश्ते में तो हम सबके बाप लगते हैं. नाम है शहंशाह आलम. तो जो ये शहंशाह की औलादें हैं वो तो वैसे भी नहीं लिखने वाली, उनको ज़रूरत नहीं है. पर जिनको लगता है कि नहीं, we want to be a great hero as Dhruva Maharaj, you can read through the section and come up with your personal mission statement. What it means. I read again. The devotee is also a great hero because he conquers the influence of Maya. When Lord Chaitanya inquired from Ramananda Rai about the most famous man in this world, the latter replied that anyone who is known as a great devotee of the Lord is to be accepted as the most famous. So, you take a time for a day, all of you can send me your personal mission statement for 2025, becoming a great hero. Write down your pointers, 1 to 10. Whatever points you think you can. And then I'll read your mission statement. Okay? And anyways, those who are already a hero, you don't need not write. So those who write, I will understand they are conscious of their true position. And those who don't write, I will understand they are Maya's puppets, fully sitting in the lap of Maya. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. So text number 51 onwards, we'll read it next time when we meet. So this is February. So we'll catch up in March. First 2 weeks I'm here. So we'll have it in March. First 2 weeks, hopefully we'll have it. All right, Hare Krishna. Any questions, any comments from anyone? We can post this homework on the groups, wherever we posted this class link. Okay, so it's time up. Nobody has any comments or questions. We pause here. Hare